Wow.
Yeah.
Talk
I
about
sacrificed
that. That's a combination of spite and petty that I aspire to be every day.
Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Nerds Around. I'm your host, Sebastian.
It's your boy Law.
And your boy Tone from across the hall.
And today we have the awesome, the one, the only
Lu-Cyph.
There you go.
Lopez.
What's going on?
What's going on, Lou?
Good.
Tell everybody out there who you are, what you do, what it is that you create.
So yeah, I'm a few things. I say a hybrid of what the situation I've been put into. So Lu-Cyph, the music that I create is really along the lines of it's grown hip hop, if you will. Some people may say it's not turn up enough, whatever the case may be, but it's really for music for people who aren't satisfied with necessarily the mumble rap or the trap or the drill and all that kind of stuff, and want to hear something that, hey, listen, when I wake up at 5 a.m. to go take care of my family, I want to hear something that motivates me and lets me know I'm not alone. I think a lot of the music out there right now just really kind of represents, a bunch of a good amount of frustrated youth, and for whatever reason, that is what's being the marketing budgets are being spent on, and not necessarily on people who are talking to this demographic of people who are like, yo, I love hip hop, but guess what? Like, nobody wants to go buy the hip hop where we talk about real life and the real issues. So, at the end of the day, listen, I have other ways of providing for my family other than hip hop, obviously. So I put it out there to just, kind of let people know they're not alone. And honestly, I got to tell you, it's really for me. As self-absorbed as it sounds, it's really just I want to listen to music I like and I can feel it and I can relate to. And, luckily I've been able to find other artists who do that. And it's unfortunate that they're not the first ones you hear on the radio or anything like that. You got to dig a little deeper to find them.
Absolutely.
You definitely have this storytelling aspect and this really old school aspect that really is like, I can feel people gravitate more to.
You're very conscious about what lyrics you put out there, for sure.
Yeah. What inspired you to become the artist that you are today?
Oh, wow. Damn, we gonna be here all night, bro.
There you go.
Right now. Listen, I was born into a really, how would you say, a really unique experience in the sense of, my family had a lot of issues growing up. I didn't meet my dad until I was 2-3 years old. And, because of his issues, and my mom was in the street. So I was raised up in a home where it started broken, right? But one thing that kept things going was my godfather, who was like very educated gay black man from deep South Georgia. He would not let me fall to this whole everybody's gonna hate you, bro. Everybody's gonna hate you. That doesn't mean you sit back and you accept your situation. So while my father was locked up and all this kind of stuff, he really taught me to always go for it on a nonstop basis. And music was a thing. I was obsessed with Michael Jackson as a little kid. I was able to moonwalk by the age of 4. It was ridiculous. Dancing is my thing. I grew up in that household where everybody danced except for my sister.
Oh, damn. Just shut up.
We got you. No.
Just completely threw her on the bus.
Yeah. So being in that environment, and my dad got his stuff together, which allowed him to kind of take custody of us again. He always had his back against the wall, and he was just all this hustling and stuff that other people are doing, and that's the environment we grew up in, where there was a lot of things going on in our household that I would never talk about. But it's one of those things where he was just the honest man, the one who wakes up every day. That's the braver of the sort, because it's a longer road, and but it's an honest road. right? So that pushed me to be like, all right, cool. Like, this is a story that's not being glorified. That is a story that's completely not being glorified. It's just like, yeah, let's talk about the lawyers and doctors and all these executives. Some executives are dirty. Let's be honest. There's some people who work their way through that.
That's
yeah. So that's kind of where my whole thing of like, I want to talk about the story that doesn't have a bunch of marketing power. That's fine. That I'll call it a lane. Like, I'll take the lane, if that's what it
to
is,
some degree. It's kind of like when people used to ask like why Jay doesn't talk about where he came from anymore, and it's like Jay's not been that dude for like over 30 years. Like, you know what I mean? So you can't keep pushing that and feeling true and authentic to that when you're just not that dude.
He owns the Barclays and he does all this. Like, I don't want to hear about the struggle anymore. Like,
yeah,
right.
Well, let's also be very clear on why Jay wasn't getting signed. Jay was too old for record labels, and he was talking about exactly what I'm talking about. Where in the sense of like, yes, you've moved kilos. He already, by the time he was about to start Rockefeller, he already owned property. He already owned cars. This is shit that none of them young dudes was doing that. None of them. And he would rap about these lavish things that he already had. He was just like, man, just so happens that, I'm gonna talk about it. And the thing was that a lot of people were like, you already have it. Why are you striving to be a rapper? And he's like, well, I'm pretty good at it, and I gotta wash this money. Like, how am I gonna wash this money? Honestly.
So we know that you used to call yourself Ana. So what was the evolution into who you are today, Lu-Cyph?
All right, good question. So the way I pronounced Ana back there was honor, right? But it was, a lot of people couldn't grasp it. So like, we would do shows and like, like down south or even up northeast, and people would be like, Ana. So I try to make something that was a little more palatable for everybody to kind of be like, oh, so my boy who I rapped with on the Brooklyn label, E-Man, anonymous, amazing MC. I learned a lot from him actually. He was just like, bro, we're changing your name. He was just like, that's just too much of a headache. And so, people used
How long were you rocking the old name before you got the new name?
Almost, I say close to like 5 years.
Oh,
so.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. So his rap name was Anonymous before we even met. And my original rap name, so when I was opening up for like Kanye West and The Roots and, ODB back when I was like 19 at that point. I had just left school. I just failed out of college actually. And I was doing all these shows, and I was going by the name Anonimo, which is like anonymous in Spanish. And me and him hadn't even met yet. And I switched that name because I heard there was a Cuban rapper from a Cuban group that was calling himself Anonimo. And I was just like, all right, I'm going to switch it up. And so I went to Honor. And Honor was I don't think I spelled it right, honestly. I don't think I had the right approach to it. But, the intent was there. And the intent was really, as somebody from my circumstance with my family and kind of changing the cycle of things, it was honor, right? It was to honor my father's efforts. It was to honor the people who had stepped in to take care of us when we couldn't. And so honor was part of that. And then I met him and he was like, I'm anonymous. And I was like, yo, bro, I've been rocking that name since God knows when,
That's funny.
And it was cool. So I was like, all right, you be anonymous, I'll be Anna. And we stayed doing that for a while. And he was just like, bro, I'm just calling you Lu-Cyph. He was like, because every time we get in a cipher, you got some bars that just come out of nowhere. So I was like, I'll take it. So I shortened it down to Lu-Cyph, and because people just started calling me Cyph, and I was just like, all right, I'll call it Lu-Cyph, and that's kind of what I stuck with.
That's dope. Now. There's something going when you go with a nickname that you earned, like from your friends or who you work with, as opposed to something you just come up with because you're like, oh, this sounds dope, and some people are like, all right, cool, but like, but when someone bestows it upon you, be like, yo, like this is like you're dope, you kill it on the cipher, so we're gonna add that to your name, and like you earned it's like a badge of honor right there. That's part of your name, and that's dope.
Yeah. No, and then I took it away from that. You hear stories of people being like, I wanted to be called this, but this is what came out. And you're just like, all right, run with it. just run with it. Yeah.
So
100%.
So going back to your not passive comment, but you were like you're a kid growing up, and falling out of college, and now I'm like opening up for these big names. Like, how in the world do you end up there? Like,
nah, you know what it is though. I think because I've had to upkeep some sort of professional mannerism in terms of what I do for a 9 to 5, that I kind of brushed that aside, and so that's my fault. Listen, it was a big deal when it was happening. I thought I was getting
of course.
Signed. Like, I was just like, oh yeah, no, we on. But basically what had happened was I was going to school in Boston, so I left New York, and I went to school at Suffolk University for law, and I was rapping at every chance I could get. I was anybody who wanted to rap, I was like, let's go. I was dating a girl who was at a Ivy League school out in Massachusetts, and she knew some people from around the area. Some people were producing music, and we got somehow connected with the like college performance committee of some sort. And I had a little demo record, and I was just like, yeah, what's up? And word got around that I was doing this, and I'd step into, they had like open mic when I was in Boston, and I'd take the freaking 2-hour ride to Western Massachusetts, and
damn,
kind of do these small shows. And then it turned into like, oh shit, ODB's coming to town. Yo, what's up? This person's coming to town. What's up? And I would be like, you're calling me? All right, and I'd have my buddies come up with me, and yeah, the Kanye West one was definitely like something I'll never forget. I will never forget that whole piece. It wasn't the best ending, but like the actual performance itself, like 4,000 people in front of you, like you literally felt like you could walk across the crowd. Like everybody was like so on top of each other.
Damn.
And I was like, oh, this is real. Real experience. Like our voice went out. The third song was it, and by the fourth song, me and my boy, we literally made this song literally a half hour before the show. Like literally, it was just like, okay, this is the beat. I'm gonna come up with a hook. I came up with a hook, bro. They were singing the hook, and I was just like, dude, do you realize like we just made this shit up? And like,
that's awesome.
I was just like, this is insane. They don't know who we are from a hole in the wall. So yeah, no. It was a cool experience, but then reality set in. I had to leave school and stuff because I was just focusing on rap. And I wouldn't change it for the world, honestly.
After an experience like that, just standing in front of that huge crowd and doing that, people singing your song, like that's just a glimpse into what this is, and you're like, this is what I want to do, and you get that, and you've been doing this for a while, but just I'm sure having that experience was like more cement, more like I'm doing this. I don't give a shit what I've got to drop. This is the goal.
Yeah.
To experience that again. So that's awesome.
So I have two best ways of writing. One is really after the gym, after I've showered and I'm on my way to work. That is when I create my best bars. I mean, it's been so difficult to create music being in the house. Like I have a whole album ready to go that I'm just sitting on because I haven't sat down and mixed and mastered. Because we got 2 kids in the house, and he has learning. He has his remote learning and stuff like that. So my inspiration really comes from living life. It doesn't come from any sort of like place of being like, I need to sound like this, I need to do that. So I usually tend to write the hook first. So I have a few producers right now. So I have one in Houston, who's originally a Brooklyn head, who has more of a trap sound, which I haven't put out any of our songs out together, which I can't wait to put out because it's a little different from Vital Signs and stuff. And then I have Vital Signs, who produced on the Mike's for Men album for Wu-Tang. So he's a great, awesome producer, very sample heavy. I mean, listen, when we first started producing Survival, I was like, I speak to this dude more than I speak to my own family. Like we were like going back and forth, like, all right, so on this song, verse 2, let's step this up and move this to the side. Okay, and then it was awesome. How would you say, awesome process. Yeah, it's really, for me, it's all about hook first. I really lead with that, and then try to I always seem to write the second verse first and then the first verse second, just because the second verse is always the meat and the bones of the track. And then I have to give an introduction to how I got to the meat and the bones. And then lastly is really
I love the process.
Yeah. Thank you.
It genuinely makes so much sense though.
Yeah, it's like you're working from the inside out.
Yeah. And then the third is really the bridge of some sort. I try to throw something in there that's melodic as well, repetitive, as well as something that can like kind of give the listener a break, because I've noticed that along these years of rapid, like let me slow it down for you a little bit, throw hands in the air, like try and give the listener or even the live spectator something to kind of like just nod their head with, because the live show is where I thrive. I hate recording. I if I could take recording and just shove it up its own, I swear to God, like I can't stand recording. And
have you ever done like someone like get a good sound guy to record your live shows?
I have, and I don't like the sound because there's way too much imperfection. So as much as I hate the repetitive process and having to make sure that vocal has the feeling, punch, and tone that I want, that's the part that I hate, right? Is because when I'm sitting in the car and I'm rapping it and I'm driving or whatever, because I do a lot of my writing via voice notes. It's it's just like, oh, this sounds perfect right now, and then when I lay it all down, I got my my verse ready to go, and I come here and I record it, because I record right here, just in the house.
Oh, okay.
Nice. And I'm like, like the notes are crazy, bro. Like I have a whole spreadsheet, because I do logistics for a living. So like I can break it down into like, okay, I have this 15 songs, verse 1, redo. Verse 3 just needs a re-record. Verse 2, it needs a remix. So I break it down into all those things so I can consider 5 done, 3 need redos, and kind of go from there.
It seems like a happy marriage of both lives, somewhat.
Yeah, very much.
So I saw on one of the SoundCloud you have produced beats. So how is it going through that process when you're producing beats versus lyrics?
Oh yeah, the face says it alone.
I've always been able to make beats. I've made beats for years. I'm I don't always like my beats, right? So like, you know, some people will be like, yo, that's hot. And I'm like, really? That's cool. You want it? They're like, yeah, I'll take it. You know, and I've given beats just
You're easily more confident with your lyrics than you are with your production.
Yes, 100%. Because so going back to the Kanye West thing, I was working with a much bigger producer, and I didn't know how to make a beat for the life of me. I made a few beats, but they were horrendous, right? It was just like garage band, just slapping together samples, and I was just like, oh, that sounds cool. I mean, to some people they liked it. I'd never released any of that stuff. But the group that I was working with, they had made all these beats for me, and I got the gig just off of me rapping on their beats. And they were very much like, hey, listen, you got the gig because of our beats, so we want our two groups to take over your set. And I was like, nah, bro. Like, my demo is what got the set, not, you know, your beats. Yes, I get it. And they basically completely cut ties with me just off of that.
Damn.
And I was just like, all right, you know what? All right, cool. I'll make my own beats. Let's go. So, you know, I went through this whole like kind of thing of being like, I make beats now. Like, screw rapping. So I put all rapping aside for like close to like 3 years, I'd say.
Wow.
Yeah.
Talk
I
about
sacrificed
that. That's a combination of spite and petty that I aspire to be every day.
Yo, it was. I mean, if I showed you, I actually have a picture of the studio. I got to show it to you. I literally slapped it together with like gum and tape, and like I was just like, I'm making beats.
The new album is The Agenda. That's your latest album. Tell us about the whole process, how that came together. Tell us about this brainchild of yours.
Do you have your own engineer, or is like that whole, is it no? All you.
Okay.
All me. So I do all my own mixing, all my own engineering, and I do all my own artwork. That artwork is me drawing myself literally on Photopea, just taking a picture of myself and literally like with the mouse,
right,
drawing myself. With the agenda itself, I had about, I'd say close to like 10 to 15 tracks ready to go. And the artwork was done. Everything was done. And I was sitting on those tracks. Those tracks were fully mixed, not mastered. And I basically was just like, you know what? Quarantine hit. I just started like a new job that I want to kind of keep a low profile on the music thing, because that's one of the things about having a, you know, professional career and then doing the artist thing, is that you don't want anybody to think that you're distracted. Right.
Yeah.
So I sat on it. And basically the quarantine hit, and I just sat down and I was just like, yo, we're up all night. We're going to mix this shit right, master it right, and it's going out. So I think I put it out right in the beginning of the quarantine. And I picked like the 4 tracks that I had been sitting on the longest, and those were like the first 4 that I picked for the agenda.
I have to say that on that, my favorite track on the agenda was Dreaming. Kept listening to that track. Kept listening. Like, in the beginning, I'm a beats guy, and then all of a sudden I start listening to how the lyrics flow and everything. But what was the creative process with that song and everything? What was the motivation for Dreaming?
You know, for me, I'm kind of a black sheep in the family, if you will. You know, I beat to my own drum a little bit, even though, you know, those that, you know, I'm in a collective with in terms of family. They're like, you know, there's this whole vibe of like, I don't know, wanting to be white, and I'm like, bro, I'm the furthest thing from that. So, you know, we associate wanting to have a life of white privilege that is never going to be there. But it, you know, the fact that we associate privilege with being successful, you know, obviously there is privilege in that, but, you know, just, well, what's successful, right? So for me, successful is very different from successful for a lot of the people that I grew up with.
I get that, man. I relate to that. A hard body.
Yeah. You know, it's just like, you know, so I struggled with that a lot, even growing up. Like, you know, I was considered the white boy of the family, and for me, I was just like, I am what I am, and I'm not going to beat myself up about it. And Dreaming was very much like about that whole piece of being like, you think this shit happened easily, like it didn't just fall on a platter, and just to kind of have some sort of confidence in your own choices. So, and my dad pushed that a lot. Like, you ain't talking white, you're talking educated. Shut up.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's right, Dad.
Yep. Yeah. A lot of people don't get it.
It takes a while to to get out of that, or just to kind of realize that no, it's not being educated or wanting to be educated, wanting to be successful in a different way, that may not be associated to our heritage or the color of our skin or anything like that, is okay. Wanting to get out and pull yourself up and like do something bigger,
100%.
and it's a shame that that's associated to it, and not something that we instill in kids and that need it, and not just giving one way out. Because I think sports and all and all these other things are great outlets, but that shouldn't be your only option. Because like there's like a 1 in a million chance that you make a team, like you do so well to go to high school, to go to college, from college to go to a team. Like you got to be real special, you got to be real good, and there's just other things that we got to offer. And I think, but also schools got to do that too. Got to give scholarships for other stuff aside from ball playing. And I say, and I'm a huge football fan. I'm all here for it and everything. But like, they're giving scholarships to kids who are C students, and you've got A, B+ students who are living in the hood that can't even get a look at, and it's a shame. So
busting their ass
100%.
Yeah. But to piggyback off Sebastian about picking songs that we like. My favorite song from your EP was "Came Too Far." So I was really digging the beat to "Came Too Far," and then just kind of listening to the lyrics, I was kind of like, I was getting it. I was like really, really feeling it.
Nice.
So if you could just talk about that and the process for that and like your inspiration, that'd be awesome. It'd be great.
I mean, yeah, that is one of my favorite songs to rap, I would say. It's also like it's one of those songs. Like it was funny. A buddy of mine who is a sound engineer for like big time movies and stuff. He came over, and I was just like showing him the project or whatever. And he makes beats too, so we kind of like go back and forth. I actually have some stuff from him that I'll be working on soon. But it had like this animation to it in the rapping that I really had fun with, I would say, because I kind of made fun of myself a little bit, and kind of it really touched into the whole thing of like, I'm very proud to be where I'm at, but I can't say like it's all peaches and cream every day, and there are long days and dark nights that come along with all that I'm doing. But that melody, like the singing melody, was my favorite, even though I sounded horrible. I can't tell you how many times I re-recorded that shit. Oh my god. And it's so funny because my little brother is just like he's in Connecticut, and he likes like really thugged out music. And he was just like, "Dog, this is my favorite." And I was just
yeah, because close family will that you trust will tell you,
for sure,
will give you the real facts.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They'll let you know, oh, that's dope, or hit you with the stank face of,
are you sure? Are you sure?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's like, listen, I can't be telling my homies my brother's a rapper coming out with this shit.
They will not. They'll be the first to tell you I am not co-signing that.
Well, it's funny, right? He like dudes like what is it? Like Chinks and like a lot of those kind of I don't know, like French Montana, like those like a little more bubblegum, but also like a little thugged out. But he was like sharing that track everywhere along with all those things. So he has this thing where he bumps in his ride and he like shares the music that he's playing or whatever. And I was just like, damn, you feeling that track. I was just like, okay, all right, I'll take it. I was like, even with the bad singing, he's like, that singing ain't bad. You heard J. Cole. Everything notes in. I was just like, all right, well, I'm glad you like it because that's definitely one of my favorite tracks. And then especially towards the end of the, I don't know, some along the line of like just not hearing what other people are saying, but still hearing it at the same time. So you take it into account, but you don't necessarily let it drive you. Yeah, no, I'm glad you like it, man. Thank you.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think I heard like back to back, so I was like, yeah, I'm digging this.
I love music. I'll always do it, no matter what my situation is. That is one thing that will be constant. I hope that one day, marketing budgets are more about this type of music than others. So, until that day comes, I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing because a lot of people do want it. A lot of people do want it, but times have changed,
Yeah, man.
So. I don't know. I'm definitely here for music that I can relate to on a personal basis based on the type of life that I'm living and, what I'm trying to do on the day to day. Cause I like some of the newest, I like some of the newer stuff and I can listen to it. I'm not like, this speaks to me.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, this is cool to listen to. You put up the volume and like you got a good time. You nod your head, do a little dance or something. But it's not speaking to the soul. It's not making me like, yeah, I get this guy. Like he gets my struggle, or it's like I don't get the 22-year-old making millions and millions of dollars talking about shit. He doesn't get me.
Nope.
Raising 2 kids, trying to make a living wage.
Yeah, man.
So now, man, I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
Awesome.
So, guys, the album is The Agenda, and the album before that, Survival. Look up Lu-Cyph on your favorite streaming platform.